Fire Call, the fire safety show with Division Chief Jim Sedaris.
Hi, my name is Division Chief Jim Sedaris, and you are watching Fire Call, where we're going to take you behind the scenes Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. We're going to talk to all kinds of firefighters. We're going to look at trench rescue this month. Trench rescue can be very dangerous, something we've got to be thinking about, especially during construction season. And we're going to take it to the phase drill, the drill where we take all our firefighters and test their skills. So, along with that, we're going to have a lot of questions. And we got a ton of questions this month. We're going to come around and rack them out. If we answer your questions, you'll get one of our sassy Sioux Falls Fire Rescue t-shirts. Now, they might not be yellow when they show up in the mail. We still got some white ones. Don't send them back. Don't call me up. You get what I send you if we use your questions. Now, let's get to those shout-outs. This first shout-out is from Sergio. He wants a shout-out to the 13th Fire Rescue Company in Valparaiso, Chile, South America. This next one's from Christopher. Christopher wants a shout-out to the Warwick Township Volunteer Fire Company number 1 in Jameson, Pennsylvania. I think we're going to do a couple Pennsylvania ones here. And David wants a shout out to the Friendship Engine and Hose Company in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. So sit back, turn off all electronic stuff except for Fire Call, and we're going to take you behind the show. We're at the training center and we're doing the phase test. The phase test is a yearly test. We're going to talk to Steve Dirksen, who's in charge of training, all about phase. Phase, F-A-S-C. What's it stand for, Steve?
It's Firefighter Ability Skills Evaluation.
And we do it every year. And why do we do it?
We do it every 2 years.
Okay.
And it falls in compliance with the NFPA 1001 standard.
And that's the National Fire Protection Association standards that we kind of run by.
And 1001 is the Firefighter 1 and 2 standard that we train all of our firefighters to. And in that standard, there's different skills that they need to complete. And this test was developed about 10 or 12 years ago here at Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. And we run our crews through it just to make sure that they can do the skills necessary to perform their duties at Sioux Falls.
Steve, talk me through exactly how the phase works and the different portions of what people are doing for the phase.
All right, well, the first thing that the crews do when they come out is we run them through a skill of putting their PPE on, their turnout gears, their coats.
PPE is
personal protective equipment.
There you go.
And they put that on. They have to do that in a minute. That's specified in the standard.
And the reason is a minute is we want them to be able to get their gear on, get on the truck, and be ready for action.
Absolutely. So they put their gear on in 1 minute, and then they have another minute to get their SCBA on and get their mask on and go on air.
Okay.
And then that's the only timed portion of the whole event. Once they've done that, they go through the forcible entry simulation, which we use the Kaiser sled that folks may have seen with the Firefighter Combat Challenge.
Sure.
They do that first. When they've completed that, they raise a roof ladder and adjust that to the proper climbing angle. Pick up the 2.5.
Okay.
When they've completed that, they pick up a 2.5-inch hose, throw that over their shoulder, climb the ladder, and go through a window.
Not uncommon.
Not uncommon, it's things that they'd have to do. And then they walk over to a standpipe, and they hook in 1.5 inch or 1 3/4 hose into there, deploy that up the stairwell.
Call for water. Mr. Dirksen will charge you live.
Call for water. Check their stream, bleed the line of air.
Now that you've bled your air and checked your pattern, you feel it's safe to enter.
Check a door for heat to make sure that's safe to enter. Shoot water at a target, simulate fire.
Just like they're entering a building for a fire floor.
Absolutely. Once they've completed that, they crawl into a smoke-filled room where they need to do a search and find a victim. They find the victim. They drag the victim out to a safe area. They complete that. They go over to a tool raise and lower.
So if we're outside, we got to pull the tools up to ventilate a roof?
Yep. So they're doing a saw. They lower it to the ground and pull it back up. They tie an approved knot, which is also part of the test.
Don't let the rope slide through your gloves.
When they've completed that, they come back down. They exit the window that they came in, get on the ladder. They're handed a tool. They descend the ladder. Once they hit the ground, the test is over for that portion.
Okay.
And then finally what they do is they have to come back into the training center, fill their bottles with air again, and restock their SCBA so it's ready to go for another call. And then we have them tie knots that are also required in the standard.
So this really tests those skills portion of being a firefighter, that they know how to do it and they can actually show that they know their stuff and they're ready to go.
Absolutely. It's a refresher basically of all the skills they learned when they were in recruit school.
Great. Well, thanks, Steve. We'll have to go watch them now.
All right, thanks.
Got a couple of questions about suiting up and changing air bottles, and this first question is from Michael. Michael lives in Oakway, South Carolina, and he wants to know, how long does it take to suit up and take off? I have Ryan Limison. Ryan's a FAO driver, Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. How long have you been in the department?
4 years.
Like it?
Yeah, love it.
What did you do before?
I was actually worked for the engineering department in the city of Sioux Falls.
And you made the big jump.
Yep.
Saw the
Had to
light.
get out of there. Oh, yeah.
What do you like most about being a firefighter?
Oh, just the variety. Every day something different. The people are a lot more enjoyable to work with.
I couldn't say it
Can't
better
understand
myself.
why anybody want to do it.
Yep. Okay, Ryan. How long did it take you to get all your gear on?
Took me 1 minute and 35 seconds.
And that's with your tank?
Yep, that's my full PPE, air bottle, mask, actually breathing air.
So you're ready to step into combat there. Okay, now the next question. So that's Michael's question. This next question comes from Jake. Jake lives in Caledonia, New York, and he wants to know, how do you change air bottles in an air pack? Now that's part of the test, is changing your air bottles.
Yep.
Tell us about how often do firefighters check their bottles and then changing one out.
Okay, well, every morning when we come in, we check our bottles.
Why is
we
that?
do it just to make sure if they had something the night before, you don't wind up with an empty bottle. Your air bottle's open or something when you have to use it.
Sure.
You want
Maybe
to
it
make sure
leaked
it's ready.
overnight. Something could have happened.
Could have
Okay.
bled out, something like that. So the first thing we do is check the bottle, and then if we find that it's empty, it's fairly simple. There's just a latch there that locks it down. Unscrew it from the harness, and it should just slide out. Every apparatus carries spare bottles because we don't have a fill station at every station.
And when you say fill station, you mean a place where we can actually fill the tanks with air?
Place we actually fill the tanks up and get them back to their operating pressure. Slide that one back in.
Now we can also do this when it's on someone's back and they're on a fire.
Yep.
They just bend over and...
Bend over, makes it a little easier, and then the driver, who's usually doing other things when the firefighter comes out, he can
swap the
swap the bottle out for the firefighters.
Perfect. So you just finished the phase. Now, when you're doing the phase test, and there's all these different tasks, how realistic are they as far as something that you would do on a fire ground?
Oh, I would say it's quite realistic. Every fire, we're setting ladders, we're pulling lines up and down ladders, carrying tools, doing searches.
So it's
like
basic run-of-the-mill stuff for you, essentially.
Yep.
This is the bread and butter of being a firefighter.
Exactly. It's right down to brass tacks. So.
What did you find being the most difficult of the tasks to do? Now, you've done them all, and you're in pretty good shape. What did you find out was the more difficult of them?
Well, probably one of the more challenging tasks is, as would always be, is the search, because you're taking away some of your senses when you crawl into the smoky atmosphere to try and find a victim. So actually getting in there and losing part of, you can't feel very well, you can't see at all. You have to find your victim and pull them back out.
And then to do this, you got to be pretty active, pretty good shape. Now, what do you do to stay in shape as a firefighter? Because every day, we want our firefighters to be working out, staying in shape. What are some of the things that you do?
Oh, I try and just do general cardio, weight training, try and mix it up at least 4 or 5 times a week. Go to the gym, work out, run. The stair climber helps a lot with these tasks.
So there is no resting in the fire service?
No, wouldn't have it that way.
Thanks a lot, Ryan.
Thanks.
We have more viewer questions, so we're going to ask these to one of our best firefighters, Brian Kringstead. Now, Brian, do not adjust your TV, okay? You ready for these tough questions? Okay, let me stand normally. Okay, Brian. Yeah. And I am 6'2", by the way. How tall are you, Brian? Everyone asks you this?
Yeah, I'm 6'6".
Okay. Yeah, well, big deal. Okay. And you've been on the fire department for how long?
3 years.
Okay. You like it here?
Love it.
You like that microphone, don't you?
I do. It's pretty neat.
Okay. Here are the questions. This first one's from Ray Fawn, who lives in Canada. And Ray Fawn wants to know, what are some of the best rescue knots to use in the fire service? What do you think?
Some of the best knots, probably the family of figure eights.
Okay.
Probably the most versatile.
Quick to tie?
Quick to tie, very strong.
You bet.
And they're not going to fall apart on you. So
that's the knots to start looking at doing.
Absolutely.
Okay, that was pretty easy. Here's another tough one from Sam. Sam lives in Lakeville, Massachusetts. At what point does a firefighter declare the fire completely out? When's it extinguished? What do you say?
Well, First, we got to do overhaul.
Which means what, Brian?
We're going to pull down the ceilings. We're going to pull down the wall to make sure, look for extension.
So make sure the fire's not crawling up there.
Yep, make sure it hasn't got up in the attic, into the walls. And then we're going to wait a long time, especially if the fire happens at night. We usually keep somebody on scene for fire watch, and it takes quite a while.
We just want to make sure we don't have to come back out.
Yes, rekindle is a bad thing.
So we want to make sure it's out, check any place that it could extend for,
Yes.
and then we'll call it good at that point.
At that point, yep.
2 questions, same question. This first one is from Michael. Michael lives in Germany, and the other one is from Andrew. Andrew lives in Wadsworth, Ohio, and they both want to know, what are some of the duties that firefighters will do on a scene? So you get to a fire, for example, what are some of the different duties that you might do? Now, you're on truck 3 today?
Yeah, truck 3 today. First thing, depends on in what order you get there.
Okay.
If you're first on scene, one of the firefighters is going to hop out and grab a hydrant, more likely.
So we get a good water supply?
Yep, they're going to pull a 5-inch, hook it up to the water supply. While he's doing that, the truck's going to pull it up to the fire, up to the structure. The other firefighter's probably going to pull out the pre-connect.
Which is a line that's all ready to go.
Yep, it's ready to go. He's going to pull that off, get it flaked out into position, and then the other firefighter will likely join, and then they'll probably enter the structure at that time.
Now, if you're on a truck and you're asked to do ventilation, you could be anywhere then.
Could be on the roof. You could be doing many, many different jobs.
Well, Brian, I want to thank you for all your help. You've been a great firefighter.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll get a little taller next time.
I doubt.
Thanks, buddy. I got more tough questions that the viewers are asking, and I tell you what, firefighters get nervous when they have to answer these questions. I got Mike Clausen here. Mike Clausen's the driver. Mike, looks like you got to dab some of that sweat. I know you're nervous.
Phase drill. We just
It's
finished it up.
because of the questions.
Okay.
What do you think of the phase drill?
It was good.
You liked it?
Good training, yeah.
Okay, now we got your skill test done. Now we're gonna test the old mind. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, first question's from Jervity, and he lives in Michigan, Southfield, Michigan, and he wants to know, what are some of the duties of a truck man? Now, you're on truck 3, one
Yes.
of the biggest trucks around. Your duties when you're riding this truck as opposed to being on an engine company, what are some of the duties that our truck people have to be thinking about?
Well, in addition to the EMS calls and fire calls typical structure fires that we go on, our primary function responsibility is ventilation.
And why is that so important?
Well, anytime you want to ventilate a structure fire, you need to cool it, release smoke, heat.
Get all that smoke out, get all the
Right.
heat out.
If there's somebody inside, you need to create more visibility.
And that's the job of?
Ventilation truck crew.
There you go. So I hope that one answers your question. Now, you're on truck 3. This question's from Alexander, and also from Alexander lives in Sioux Falls. Yeah, that's a good question already. And Ryan from Sioux Falls. They want to know, how long is the ladder on truck 3?
The ladder on truck 3 is 104 feet tall or long.
And the other question they want to ask too is, do we have to worry about building? Can buildings only be built to the height of our tallest ladder?
Do we have to worry about buildings being built to
Or
the
can buildings be built
higher than?
higher than the ladder?
Yes, I can.
So how do we get those people out then?
Well, we have interior stairwells in those structures, but if there's a fire on a 10-story building and it's on the 3rd floor, we have to have a ladder that can get past that to rescue everybody above, below, and on the fire floor.
And we do have the interior firewalls that are secured.
Yep.
I think we can get people down. So there's a lot of ways we can get people down if we have to.
Standpipes.
Okay. You were talking about ventilation. This is from Terry. Terry lives in Dalton, Georgia, and he wants to know what's some of the best ways to ventilate a structure, for a ladder company to ventilate a structure.
Some of the best ways, I'll start off with the easiest ways, are just opening windows. If we come along windows and we have the okay from our captain or whoever the IC is to ventilate, we just open windows as we do our surge pattern.
Now, you mentioned a good point. We just don't want to go and open windows willy-nilly. We have to have a coordinated attack so that we ventilate as we have that fire attack group moving in.
Correct.
So
that can be devastating if somebody, in my mind, that'd be freelancing. Without the call by the IC or the captain in charge, if you just start opening windows, that can be devastating for the crews inside because you were just introducing an entirely too much amount of oxygen where the fire could increase in size, intensity.
So we want to have that coordinated fire attack
Correct.
going.
Everything needs to be coordinated.
We're going to switch up on questions. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This one's from Bradley. Bradley lives in Jonestown, Pennsylvania, and he has a question very similar to Ronald, who lives in Gallon Park, Texas, and they want to know, why are fire trucks now going back to red? What's the importance of having red for fire trucks?
Studies have shown that red is an easy identification color to the pedestrians and people that were driving through in the traffic and by. Studies were changed not too long ago that yellow and white were easier to see, but then they further study and research shows that red is more identifiable.
And can kids learn from a young age fire trucks are red?
That's right.
It makes it a lot easier. Okay, now you're testing to be a captain. Tough question.
Maybe.
This question's from Tyler. As I'm setting the standards high. Tyler lives in Bluntstown, Florida, and he wants to know, how do you determine how many gallons per minute of water you need to put a fire out? So what's the way that a sharp fella, much like yourself, would say, how would we want to figure that out? Is there a rough formula you'd use?
There's a formula that the National Fire Academy devised,
okay.
and it's length times width divided by 3. So the length of your structure times the width divided by 3, and that gives you your fire flow for water gallons per minute.
And that's how many gallons we need to be flowing to put that fire out.
For that particular structure, for that dimensions of that room.
Perfect. Mike, I want to thank you for, you're going to be, you're a great driver, you're going to be a great captain. I want to thank you for your help.
Thank you very much.
The truck of the month this month is the brand new USAR 8. USAR 8 is Urban Search and Rescue, and what we have is Eric Engdahl. Eric Engdahl is the captain of one of the USAR crews. These crews are the crews that are specially trained to deploy to some of the most technical types of rescues that we can face in the fire service. And we're glad to have you, Eric. You're going to show us around the truck?
Yes.
You got to talk to the microphone.
We'll show you around the truck, Jim.
Okay, so we'll start at the front of the truck. Okay, Eric, this is a pretty big size pickup. It's not your normal pickup. What kind of truck is this that pulls a trailer?
This, Jim, is a Ford F550 Super Duty.
And it takes something that strong to pull that trailer?
Yes, we have about 17,000 pound trailer that we're pulling with it. So, yeah, we need a large pickup to pull it down the road.
This truck can pretty much go anywhere. It's not just in the city. You can deploy anywhere in the state?
Exactly. We're part of the state response team, and if we're called up, we'll go anywhere in the state of South Dakota.
Inside, tell us kind of some of the different things that structure. This is for collapse. What kind of things do you have in this truck?
Well, up towards the front of the truck here, we have some of our search cameras, and we have some of the what we call Ellis shores. They're a temporary shore that we can put up quickly. So
the shores mean, when would you use those? Is that to keep something from collapsing further?
Correct. If we determine the building is unstable, we can use our shoring systems to stabilize it and catch the load and make the building safe for crews to go in and do rescue or searches.
Now you're going into areas that might not have any electricity because of maybe a storm or building collapse. What do you do in those places that essentially you have no available power?
Well, this trailer carries a couple generators, and this unit's also deployed with our rescue trucks, which also have generators on them. So, in essence, we bring our electricity to the scene.
So you can stay pretty much self-contained when you go out to a rescue.
Correct. We are self-contained.
Now, there's a lot of lumber on this truck. What's people are going to ask? What's the need for so much lumber on a truck?
Well, this trailer here was specially designed, or I should say this cart was specially designed so that we can bring this lumber and the equipment closer to the scene. As you can tell, this is a large trailer, and we're not going to probably take it off the road. Mm-hmm. So the scene where we're working is going to be a distance from this trailer, and this helps us bring this equipment closer to the scene.
Now you got a lot of these big tubes here, and people are going to say, what are these tubes used for, Eric?
These tubes are Paratech pneumatic struts, and we use those instead of lumber. We can use these to build our shoring systems. It's a lot quicker because you don't have to measure and then cut.
And these expand out, essentially,
exactly.
Almost telescopic.
Yep.
And we'll see those.
We'll attach air to them, and then we'll get them in place, and then we use the air to expand them out and tighten down the shores.
And we'll see these used in this training exercise shortly.
Yes, we'll see this when we show how we stabilize a trench system.
And it looks like.
And I should tell you,
Go
Jim, that we use the air to expand the struts in trench, but we don't use that in structural collapse.
Okay. Also, you got a couple of torches, it looks like, or at least one torch.
Yep, we have 2 acetylene torches. And then our rescue trucks also have the acetylene torches, and then we also have the petrogen torches.
So if you have to cut through rebar or some type of structural collapse where you have a steel involved, you can just cut right through whatever and get an access to that
I-beams,
patient.
rebar.
Well, Eric, thanks a lot. We really appreciate your help, and hopefully we won't have to use this truck, but it's great knowing that we have guys like you ready to deploy to save people in Sioux Falls. Going to talk about USAR training and trench rescue. This is some tough stuff, and I have Steve Fessler. He's with one of the teams, one of our USAR teams. And Steve, you just took the captain's test.
Yes, I did.
How'd you do?
Don't know yet. Still waiting on results.
And we'll post those results, and please, no wagering. Okay, now tell us about this. We got some trench rescue going on. Some of this equipment we looked at briefly in the truck, but the whole concept is we have firefighters down there who want to be safe. But what's some of the equipment that's used for this type of rescue, and why are they doing it the way they're doing it?
Well, some of the main things that we look for is to make sure it's secure around the trench. That's why we have the pads going around the outside to make sure everything's secure and safe. Yep. And
so
then
you're distributing the weight over a greater area.
Yep. And then we have what's called a strong back. It's the big plywood type setups on the side, which we use air struts to push in and hold the sides in. It's keep it from collapsing any further on the rescuers or even the victim that's inside of it.
Now someone's going to ask me, what happens if they lose air pressure? Will those stay locked open or will they collapse?
They are locked open. There's a collar on them that you spin out and tighten up, and then they're nailed up to the strong backs.
Okay, so they can't move around at all?
Nope, they'll stay secure right then and there. And we also do air monitoring in there to make sure that the air quality is safe for the rescuers, and granted the victim's in there already, but we want things safe for our guys too.
So you could easily have maybe hit a line, you could have some type of gas building up, so just because we're out here and it's windy doesn't mean it's safe in the bottom of these holes if they're going down 10 feet deep.
Correct. If there's anything in there, we need to ventilate that out to make sure it's okay for our guys.
This has to be a lot of hard work.
Yep.
Moving this dirt and getting these patients up. We use the mannequins because we can't bury real people. What are some of the other big concerns we think about when we're looking at doing a trench rescue?
Well, you got to think about the time of year that most of this is going on is usually in the summertime when the construction, so it's going to be hot. You want to have things ready for your guys so when they do get out of the trench for rehab.
So if they're dehydrated from doing all this hard work essentially and all this gear, that's a good point.
And you want to have your EMS ready for the victim because the different types of injuries the victims can have also, from if it is a gas leak where they need their oxygen, they need their different things pushed in them through the IVs, you need to have that ready for crush syndromes and different things like that.
Great. Well, thanks a lot, Stephen. I appreciate your help.
No problem. Thank you.
You bet. It's not always just the firefighters that we're thinking about doing this training. We have Shannon Galbraith. Shannon was a firefighter. Now you promoted to an inspector.
Yes.
Now tell us, now you're here doing the training. We just saw you down in the bottom of that trench. You were doing this before you were an inspector, right?
Right.
What kind of truck? What truck were you on? What were your responsibilities?
I was on Rescue 8, and they're in charge of trench rescue, structural collapse.
So you were actually, this is kind of your bread and butter in a previous life in the fire service.
Yeah.
Now, we know you want to get back there. Why is it important for you to keep doing this training?
Things change all the time. You never know when techniques are going to change, materials are going to change. It's a good thing to keep up to date on the certifications that I have and don't want to lose them. And just in case the opportunity or the need ever arises for me to go back to the floor, I have these certifications to keep up.
And we also have you working 40 hours, so if something happens, we can also you'd be one set of hands that's well trained to be on some of these calls.
Right.
Now, as an inspector, do you see a need for this as far as and part of your normal daily job, or is this more of something you just like to do and want to keep your hands into it to keep current?
A little bit of both. You always want to, whenever you're inspecting a place, you want to make sure if they have confined spaces or trenches that they're working in, that they're doing it safely.
Great. Well, Shannon, we greatly appreciate your enthusiasm.
Sure.
And let's get back to work. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thanks.
Hope you liked the show. We had a lot of cool stuff. That trench rescue, something our people have to be on their game. If they're not on their game, people are going to get hurt, potential for someone to die. Also, that phase drill. Everyone looks forward to the phase drill to show that they know their stuff, and also shows that they're ready to come out and help you out if you have problems. Now, thanks for all your questions. Got a couple shout outs. Remember, you get a shout out answered, we send you a Sassy Sioux Falls Fire Rescue t-shirt. Be sure you send your size, and it might be white, it might be yellow. Don't complain. We don't like complainers on Fire Call. Okay, we got a couple of shout outs. This one's from Brandon. Brandon wants a shout out to the Kennard Volunteer Fire Rescue in Kennard, Nebraska. Craig wants a shout out to the Middleborough Volunteer Fire Company in Baltimore County, Maryland. And last is Terry. Terry wants a shout out to the Hortonville Fire Department and first responders in Hortonville, Wisconsin. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the show. We had fun doing the show as we do every month. My name is Division Chief Jim Sedaris, and you've been watching Fire Call.